Hi tribe, welcome to number 24. This is great. We're having a good time. Another sunny day here in Casselman, and we're taking out the big guns today. I got the big sign in back of me. We'll get into that a little later. Very important part of my life. Changed a lot. So the big guns, we hear about it all the time. I don't know if you're doing it, or if you're using it. This is a type, but it's vision board time. We hear about it all the time. This is a vision board, but it comes from one of my mentors that we'll talk about a little later. But he calls it more like a board of terror, or just it's not a board of terror, but it's a board that should scare you, and should scare you enough to bridge that gap and to get to the other side. It's also the board of commitment. I would say, if you see this thing enough, board of commitment. We'll get back down to that. So the big step now is to take time to picture. It's time to take a picture of your life, and a snapshot of what you want to be. We'll get down to that tool in about 20 minutes, probably, when I get done with all the rest of this stuff. All right, I wanted to show you a sign that I see. I hope when I do this, it's fine. It's from a sign I took a picture of from a church sign. I'm not necessarily a churchgoer. I'm not a religious dude at all. But I stopped the car, I turned around, I came back, and I took a picture. And because Jesus didn't say, "I am finished," he said, "It is finished." And I took that as, I took that very personally. Hang on a second. And then people are like, "Well, what does that mean?" Well, to me, that meant that, I was burned out. I was, let me get it back. Right? And I thought I was finished. I thought Marc Lepage, this being, this human, he was just finished. He was just going to get to death somehow in the future, right? But he didn't say, "I am finished." He said, "It is finished." And I see that as that chapter of my life, that part of my life where that whole existence, till about 40 years old, that is what was finished. Not the being, not the guy, not the person. So I'm going way out there, as you can tell, and not even close to being finished as a person. But that definitely was over. I just wanted to share that with you. It's a good thing. Thought of the day: consciousness and effort. Right? To change something, you need to bring consciousness and effort to it. It's that simple. It brings reality to the situation, and it brings reality to the surface. When you have that consciousness, and you're aware of why you're doing it, why other people are behaving this way, you can detect reasons that things are happening and why people are behaving this way. Once you get that consciousness, you can get that, how do I get out? And then it takes effort. Because getting out of it is the part that sucks. Figuring it out and visualizing it, and and knowing that you have to do it, that's one thing. Getting up and doing it is a whole other picture. And this is where this board kind of comes in at one point. So we're going to want to choose consciously. Give time and effort for the unveilment, for the success. There's a time gap, as we said. Things have to happen, and it's that, to me, it's that simple to change. Bring consciousness to the situation, decide what you want to do, then put the time and effort to change it. That sounds so simple, doesn't it? People aren't doing it. People resist it all the time. Okay? We're not going to go any further into that today. Reflection on my SFM journey. Just like my 30-day challenges that I've been giving myself for years now, and that I've introduced to you guys, I'm feeling that this 30-day of expansion was one hell of a thing I did. And putting SFM in there at many, like this video challenge, this 30-day, it's 90-day, but to me, that first 30-day, there is no limits. It has to get done. I can't wimp out of it. And as those journeys, got to about 2021, and then I was getting this feeling of, I've had enough of this, I want to move on, there's more things I can do with my life, all these little things that were bothering me, right? And then, but I know, since I have all that practice, all those 30 days before me, I know that that 20-day mark is the hardest. And when you get to 24, 25, 30 seems so close. It's a breeze. There's a big point where you're 20 is a freak out, and I had it with SFM too, with this video challenge. So it's anything you change in life, that there's a 20-day mark. And that's why I think they say you need 21 days, 30 days to change something, because before that 20-something, you want to lose your mind. So 23 was painful. 24 today seems like I'm back to wanting to do it. So now watch me strike to 30, watch me strike to wherever the hell this goes. And I actually am wondering if there's another pain point in a 90-day something. 30 days I can handle easily. 45 days is a little tricky. I met some more challenges in 45 days, but I'm wondering what 90 will bring. I'm figuring there will be 2 more bumps in the road where I'm saying I gotta quit this, but I won't. I'm sure of it. So that will be for the future of my SFM journey. What I learned from yesterday, you got to put yourself out there, and I'll tell you why, because that's where the magic happens. If you have big plans and you want big results, you got to do massive things, take chances, write stuff you wouldn't have written before. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this, because my big plans for skiing in Australia, I mentioned it yesterday, I believe. I got an answer, I got an email back, and I reread it yesterday, and I actually started crying. I'm not going to tell them that, but I'll tell you guys this, because the answer I got out of that email was just spectacular. And I cried, I wrote some stuff down, but I wanted to share what I did before writing my email. I took 5 to 6 hours to get this email right. It's about 5 to 6 pages. I wanted to do something, and here's what I wrote before. I did some cybernetic transposition, just because I wrote a whole thing about the whole trip, right? You want to see this? This whole trip of what it's going to be, how I'm going to feel, what's going to happen, right? But I had a passage on writing the email to the resorts. I use this trick all the time. It's definitely going to be in the future in one of our videos. So this section, not too long, and it's about me. So I'm writing to myself. I'm writing to like my future self of what has already happened. Somehow that works for me. Wow. So I'm writing to myself. So as you write your emails to the resort representation, you will inspire them to invite you and use your story. It is a good one. Your message to them will be written effortlessly and without restraint. It will be personal, engaging, and honest. The resulting answers will be positive and more than you can expect. And that's the kicker there. I'll get back to that. The final copies will be sent no later than Wednesday, July 17th at midnight. So I gave myself a timeline too. Okay? So what came out of this is the answer that I was looking for. I've been looking for an answer like this for years. I wrote that email. It inspired them apparently. And 2 resorts answered already. I got 1 free pass, but this resort was very special, and this is why it made me cry. It's the point where I'm becoming that person I wanted to be. I'm becoming this guy here. Right? We'll see this later. Skiing massively and not paying for it. Okay. So this answer came back it was so massive. So this fine lady wrote about a page and a half email. Took 2-3 days to answer it, and the effect that I wanted finally arrived. She said, "Perfect. This day is actually the perfect day. You're coming August 17th. There is a free bomb event. It's the annual event. You can participate in it for free. We're going to need your car ID once you come down here, because we're giving you free parking. We have an expert guide for you for the whole mountain." She put me in contact. In the contacts, she explained all this. In the contacts, she added Tony Harrington, one of the great legendary ski photographers in Australia and around the world, but mostly he's Australian. She put me in contact with a gentleman named Reggae. He is the editor and creator of Chill Factor magazine, which is a ski magazine of Australia, Australia's ski magazine for skiers. Also runs Mountain Watch website, which hosts everything ski in Australia. She put me in contact with Watkin. He's the expert skier on the mountain, and he's in charge of all these events. Plus I have contacts for you know, everything I need at this resort. So what's happening is I've always wanted to write about photography, ski, like the professionals. And if I went out there with a big email, a big question for them. Who am I? Am I wasting time? Is this something that people want? And it came back, some people want this. I'm thinking 1 out of 7. One resort out of 7 is going to do something like this for me. There's a lot of resorts on earth. I can keep skiing for free, and this can go somewhere else because I'm meeting the professionals. I'm meeting the experts in the field. The people who are on the terrain, the skiers, the photographers, the writers. That's kind of who I want to be, and I'm getting to meet the best of Australia. Best in the world, maybe. Right? So put yourself out there is where we started. Your big plans, you gotta take that action. People will surprise you. People will surprise you because when you act that big, they're like, holy crap, no one does stuff like this. This guy must be special. This guy must be worth something. This guy's different. Let's invest in him. And it's a wonderful thing. What else we got on here? Share the answer. You gotta believe. So the way I think is that no one else is interested in even trying. So when you're the guy trying, you're that person, you become something different, and people are interested and special. All right, and when you actually take those big risks and big steps, the universe seems to line up for you because you're the ones taking it. People who aren't taking the steps aren't getting anywhere. People who are going somewhere, and hopefully it's where they want because they planned it that way. Gratitude for today, communication. So this is gonna be a good one. No, not just this subject, but the whole video is massively long today. Whatever, it's got to come out. And if I have 90 of these massively long things, I'm gonna have hours and hours of greatness. Communication is the gratitude. Because what communication can do, it can. When you talk to the other person, you can get down to the bottom of things. You let go of the perceptions of different realities. So we can have a conversation. Say, I say a sentence, she takes it one way, and I mean it the other way. Now, if you're not communicating, if you don't have a pattern of communication or a system of communication with your partner, and you say something that she thinks you're saying something different, and you know what you're saying, but maybe some tone, some trigger points are in there, we don't get to fix it because it's being bombarded by protection. So communication can break it down into, well, how do I feel? Why do I feel like that? How does this make me feel? It doesn't attack the other person. Okay? Communication is the way to understand the other person, to get to their reasoning. And once you practice this and you can actually communicate, what happens is you find out that 2 people or more are way better than 1. And the stuff that you don't know, that other person might know. She or he is an expert in those other things that you may not be aware of. So if you listen for a bit, you may learn. You may actually increase your performance, and everything might get better because you listen that day. We've been to some of those things, but communication, the other person's point of view, and it may surprise you. It may really surprise you. They're right. Other people are right more often than you think. Plans for the day, physio this morning. I think that's why I'm all boosted. We actually had some energy there, some some electric therapy in the lower back. So you played with the back, and then we went swimming, some wave pools, some going up some stairs. So my quads are perfect for skiing. All together right now, I think my body's perfect, and this 12-day trip to Australia is I'm physically ready. I seem to be mentally ready. I'm getting the emails, business ready. Everything seems to be flowing at that level. Now I'm doing the work, the SFM, video, ad, and then it's going to be time with family and catch up on stuff. I think this evening is just an evening of from 8 to 10, just to, okay, I didn't do this, I didn't check that, I have to answer this little email that doesn't mean much, but it has to get done to empty my brain and get the mental desk cleared. All right, here we go. I'm going to need some water because we got tool of the day, and this is my favorite, most epic tool, and I think this combined, I'll say that again later, but this combined 30-day behavior change system, you're looking at massive growth and quickly enough, because the vision board I'm about to present pinpoints, pinpoints the stuff that you're going to need to deal with, and it pinpoints the stuff you're going to need to do, and then the 30-day system activates actual little steps that you know you have to do. Hands down, those two things together definitely brought me further. Okay? Alright, so here we go. Vision board. I call it, not the vision board of terror and whatever, but what I called it this morning, it came out of me, since I don't think there is a name, this type of vision board, I call it the vision board of change and prosperity. Why not? Let's keep it positive, not terror. It comes from, I must mention this because it's not mine, I did not invent this, I didn't give it to myself, it found me in a way. It comes from Thorne Galt from Nexus Chiropractic in Cornwall, Ontario. I've mentioned him before, I will keep mentioning him, he'll be the most popular guy in these videos. The stuff he's created with me, he's built this body, and he's building my mind somehow, and then I keep going forwards with him. Okay, so 2.5 years ago, two years ago, he hosts also Evenings of Transformation, which is a 5-hour evening with a group of 12 people in the practice, and we get entrainments, so we get some work done, but we also have workshops on how to change and how to advance our lives. And this one was a very early one, and I use it, as you'll see, this thing is massive. No, I don't think anyone does things massively like me. But that's why I get massive impact, massive change. When I do it, I do it big time. So it's very powerful. Evenings Transformation. So, and its evening was about legacy. It was a little legacy work. Think about the impact that you have in the world. Think about your impact on your children, your family, your work environment. The impact that you have, and what are you leaving behind? Do you even care? So we're doing a lot of that work, and we wanted to see what our lives are, what our lives would be if we remained the same, and what our lives would be, what change would happen if we started to change, and the impact on us, our lives, and our future generations. So we had our daughters in there. We had generations further, go 1,000 years. It's a little far. We'll see. See the impact of your behaviors on both sides. If I change, if I don't change. And then, so, get back to this later. So here's the board. What you want to do is, I'll get that in here. So what you're going to want to do is literally have two sides. I actually chose two colors. Why not? It makes it clear. And there's a middle section here where you're going to want, the original thing was get a bridge. You're going to want to put a bridge because you're going to want to bridge, it's called bridging the gap, from this horrible side of terror to this beautiful side of life. So you want to see a visual of bridge. So I upgraded this with, got some gentleman here going up the steps. Looks like a professional. He's going up the steps of career business. He's maybe changing his career. He's doing something with his life. He's going up. I have a sign here that says follow your passion. It seemed important to me that my passion, what I wanted, needed to be part of my life. If not, I felt like I was dying and wasting my time. New life, old life. You know, reactive. I used to live in a reactive state. Proactive. How do I now pre-envision what's going to happen? And I visualize it, and I'm ready for it when it happens. So I also wanted to have it symmetrical, which everything on the left side matches the corresponding something on the other. So in this case I had, I'll get in here. I had a gentleman piled up at work. What I wanted to be was proactive and keep my workspace clean. That was important to me. Apparently that has a lot of impact in the life. It does. We'll probably get back to that another time. I then had my knees. I have meniscus torn in my left, and I have ACL tear reconstruction in my right. So what I want to look like is this dude right here squatting to get some skiing in. I had pain in my back, mostly in that top neck. And what I want is this dude right here. Oh yeah, the skiing dude also goes with this. Right, if I fix those knees, I can do that. We had Mr. Couch Potato here. Yeah, just ignoring what has to be done with yard work and hiking. Get out and move, right? This was my brain. Couldn't function. I couldn't decide on a direction. I couldn't do anything. That looked like my brain. What I wanted and what I have now is this. Mindfulness, awareness, acceptance, and present moment. That will take you some work, my friends, if that's where you want to go, right? I also had, this is a little rough, this picture, but I felt like I was always upset, and I felt like my daughter was watching me always be upset. And the struggles in a couple were like, we're always upset. We're not constantly fighting, but we're not happy either, and it was noticeable. And what I want is a family life with family activities where we're actually having fun. And I was completely unhealthy. I weighed 250 pounds. I lost 80 of those pounds. I now weigh 180. And that would be 70 pounds. Pretty close. And what I found is the exact opposite picture here, what a healthy person looks like and what they're eating. And if you can go inside those bodies, right, you can see the fruit and the way they hold their arms outwards. This person is healthy. This person is eating hamburgers and pizza and whatever the hell you want. Look at those fries in the brain. And arms come out, they close up, and stomachs come out, and knees come in. It's very horrible being unhealthy. And I know, I've been both sides. And it sucks real bad. Now, there are two things I'm hiding. I don't know if you see in both corners. That is still too personal. Still too something to be out in public, but one day it will, I'm sure. I'm convinced of it, since it won't matter at one point, but it still kind of matters now. Hope you understand that. I'm sure you do. So once you do this, you're going to want to put this in a place where you see it every day. If you can see it more than once a day, that's good. I covered some of those stuff up. I took a picture of it and I put it on my computer desktop. I have this big one in my meditation room. So listen, every time you go meditate, look at this. Woo! You can't stop the wanting to change and the figuring out how. What is the next step? You meditate 10 minutes on what's my next step. The next day you're like, my 30-day thing is now this. Things pop up and your system knows what needs to be done. You just have to trust it and start somewhere. So this is putting it all on the board, literally, but constantly seeing it. I constantly changed. And I can tell you today that this side is 100%. It is 100% true. This was 100% my life. It is dead. It is gone. It's disappeared. I wouldn't even know how to go back. Wow. Isn't this great? I'm having a good time. All right. Yeah. So somewhere you're also going to want to be very honest and very crude and have things that some people may not have to see, that you may not want them to see. So you want to have it somewhere you're going to see it every day, but you're also going to want it in somewhere that you can put everything you want on it and not be exposed because of some of these behaviors. So I hope you respect. This was very personal. This is where I came from. This is where I went, and please respect that. But it doesn't matter anymore because all humans are going through some crazy stuff, and I wasn't that. I was bad, but I wasn't the worst. So I can't be ashamed all my life of what I did do. So hey, what the hell? That's part of changing. So please respect that. So I do it. That's all you got left, right? Do it. Try it, do it, get it done. Combined with the 30 days, as I say, those two things will keep you pumping and keep going slowly. In three years, this is a 3-year project for me. 2.5. You will not remember who you were. You'll see pictures of it and it'll feel weird, and you won't even remember. That's how awesome this snip is. So I'll see you in 2 years if you're still around. That's it for me today. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I'll catch you all again tomorrow. All right. Ciao.